Now we've all been there. We get back to the edit and we see something in a shot that we don't like. But luckily, we can fix it. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to remove unwanted things from your footage in Premiere Pro using two different techniques depending on whether you took preparations in advance. So let's jump into it. Okay, so we're in Premiere Pro and we've got our clip that we want to remove something from, and we're going to drag it onto the timeline. As you can see in my shot here, I have a tripod in the top left corner of the frame. This is something that I knew was there on the day and I planned to remove in post. The first technique I'm going to show you is a clean slate. A clean slate is basically where you remove everything from the frame and the things that you want to remove afterwards from the shot, and then that means you've got that clean slate to use in post. In this example, I just removed the professor and the tripod at the end of the shoot, recorded about 10 seconds of footage, and then it was ready for use afterwards. So let's jump into it. So I've got the clean slate in my project and I'm going to drag it into the timeline above my video clip that I want to remove something from. Now navigate to the effects controls of that new clean slate layer and use the mask tool just to create a mask around the area that we want to cover up. What this is going to do is mask the area of the clean slate and remove everything else around it, so we can still get our professor doing his experiment, but just the top left of the frame is the clean slate mask, and that's going to cover up our tripod. So once you've got it masked, make sure you put at least 50 on the feather just to smooth off the edges. You don't want to see any harsh lines. I'm just going to on and off what we've done with the clean slate so you can see what we've done here. So I'm just going to make our clean slate longer with the rate stretch tool. You can use this by clicking the X button on your keyboard. So let's have a look at what we've got. Looks pretty good, right? Now obviously this tutorial is based on my example and your own example could be completely different, but the use of the clean slate and the mask will work on most footage if locked off on a tripod. But if you didn't shoot a clean slate and you still want to remove something from your footage, there is hope. With the use of Photoshop, we can create our own clean slate. So I'm going to jump into that right now. So I'm going to pop the clean slate up there and disable it for now, and we want to go over to the little camera icon below your video, which is called Export Frame. And what this is going to do is just take a screenshot of your video and export it straight to a folder of your choice. For me, that is the desktop. Find that file and open it in Photoshop. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and what you want to do first is go over to the toolbar on the left and select the polygonal lasso tool. What we're going to do with this tool is select the thing we want to remove from the shot, keeping it fairly tight as we don't want too much unwanted background in this selection. Once we've selected everything, right click on the selection and choose Fill. In here, all we need to do is change the contents to content aware. It will take your selection and it knows that it needs to fill it with something other than what's inside of it, and it will analyze its surroundings to fill it with something similar. So let's see what we get. Now this result is not always perfect and it often needs some tweaking afterwards. So what we're going to do, we're going to zoom in to take a look at it, and as you can see, I've got some funny business going on here with some lines around these boxes. So we're going to clean that up with the clone stamp tool. Once we've selected this tool, you use it to cover up the imperfections by clone stamping different areas from the shot. And I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch it. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. And the next stage is back to the polygonal lasso tool, and we're just going to select the entire area that we've been working on. Right click on the selection and feather it by at least 50 pixels. This is important again to smooth off the edges, so when we put it over the top of our footage, it's unnoticeable. So once we've got it feathered, we just need to Control J to create layer from selection and turn off our original layer, so we are just left with our selection. Now this is ready to go into our timeline, so just File, Export as PNG. PNG is important because it won't export any background with our selection, so it can be perfectly overlaid on top of our footage. So save it as PNG and open it back up into Premiere. So here it is in the project, and I'm going to drag it over to the timeline on top of our footage, and there we are. If done correctly, this should be covering up what you want to remove from your shot. And I'm just going to on and off it so you can see. Looks pretty good. So there's two examples, but let's compare them side by side to see which works best. Personally, we think the clean slate works best. It's used more professionally than covering things up in Photoshop, but both do a pretty good job. So hopefully this helps. These techniques really only work with locked off footage, but if your footage is moving, you will have to use After Effects. This is a video that will be coming soon, so be sure to subscribe to see that, and I will see you in the next one.